And there it is. Obviously, Florida State, as you heard in the local sports center, must win this afternoon. That game gets underway, 2 o'clock, Cal State Fullerton. Thanks for tuning in. Kind of a special edition, change up, if you will, of the Jeff Cameron Show / pregame show. I'm Jeff. That's Tom producing per usual. For those of you who want to watch on YouTube, let's say you're at work, you can go there, type in ESPN Tallahassee, and you'll find us. Of course, you can always listen live via the streaming. That is free. And if you go to the website, you'll see that when you go and catch up after the show's over, you'll do so with limited commercial interruption thanks to our great podcast sponsor, CarltonDean.com, and the fine folks at Southland Commercial. You can also email the show if you like. It's jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. So many ways to keep up. Florida State falls 5-4 in a game that, frankly, you can all at once. I think Tom Lang said this best the other night while we watched together at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And by the way, thanks to all of you who came out for that. That was an outstanding time. We had a great turnout and a lot of fun until the 8th inning. That said, we always appreciate your participation in our events and supporting local businesses that support us. But this was a team, as Tom noted when we were talking, that played well enough to win and bad enough to lose. And almost simultaneously, you could say that there were these moments that you thought this was going to be a Florida State win, but then the comedy of errors occurred. And really, you look at those two instances, I can think of a few, frankly. I can even look at a play that seems rather innocuous now, but you maybe are still alive to drive in a run when J.C. Flowers tries to force the issue and go from second to third earlier in the game, and he gets thrown out at third, a base running error there. You're already in scoring position when you're standing on second, especially with his speed and what you've got coming up in the lineup. So, the things that hurt Florida State in losses this year came back to hurt them in this game against LSU. Now, LSU, which does a lot of things well, in particular running the bases and putting pressure on people with that speed, did exactly that as well. Cole Freeman comes to mind. He's a speedster. Antoine Duplantis, another kid. While Florida State's busy kicking the ball around, those guys are taking the extra bag and in some cases taking the run and ripping out the hearts of Florida State fans everywhere. There's no way, frankly, to there have been instances in the past, but there was no way really to blame the coaches in this situation on the play that we saw 3 errors committed that cost Florida State the game. I don't know that there's really blame that can be put on the first inning pass ball in which a runner scores from first on 2 outs after a strikeout. Coach Martin joked about it after the game. It's not one you practice too often. And I think he's right. I don't ever recall being told that at a practice, and I didn't play college baseball, but I don't imagine there are too many days where you take the field and say, hey, we're gonna make sure we cover home plate when a runner is at first where there's 2 outs on a wild pitch. You never know. That guy could come from first to home. You would be laughed out of the room. You'd be laughed off the field. It just doesn't happen until it happens. And when it happens, you go, FSU and Omaha. You just do. And yet, I felt like for the better part of this game, both teams played really well. We were treated to a good college baseball game, a well-played, well-executed game, up until, unfortunately, that comedy of errors in the 8th that it turns out to be the undoing for Florida State. Wells overruns a ball. Obviously, you can say he takes his eye off on the ball. They're trying to make a play, but it's not a play that has to be made. Nobody's coming home on that play. The ball's too hard hit. You're not going to have to worry about a guy stretching it. But because LSU has that reputation and because LSU does try to take a little extra when they can, I'm sure he's thinking of it, and he rushes a play. That's a kid making a mistake, man. That's just a kid making a mistake, and it's a shame because he's made plenty of big plays out there and right, including the throw against Notre Dame that kept us in the game. But he overruns the ball. And then that play is compounded with a mistake at second. Taylor Walls, for whatever reason, feels compelled to keep his foot on second base on the throw in. It's not a forced play. The runner's charging to second, but you don't have to stay on the bag. It's not a force. You got to come off the bag and make the catch. He doesn't. I guess you could say maybe, because I can't tell from the television angle that his eyes were averted by the runner. It's possible. I don't know, but there's the second part of the problem. The ball gets away. Busby picks it up and fires home in what is a play that's going to result in an out rather easily. That kid's out by 10 feet or 10 yards. It's not close. Cal Raleigh, who had a terrible night, behind the plate, ended up just dropping the ball. And I don't say that vindictively. I don't say that meanly. That's a fact. He also had a problem on the play in which the kid scored from first, not the wild pitch, which is a wild pitch, but rather the inability to pick up the baseball and hold on to it. When you go back and watch that, he's pumping the throw. I don't know if he holds on to that instead of dropping it. It makes that big a difference because at the time, Holton wasn't standing on home plate. But what am I describing? I'm describing defensive lapses and a base running mistake while the other team commits 0 errors and runs the bases impeccably. It results in a 1-run loss. And admittedly, while you can't guard against, as a coach, a kid overrunning a ball in right, a kid not catching a ball that's right in his glove for an easy tag, it is part and parcel of the larger problems the team has had during the course of the season. So I feel like it's a double-edged sword there. On the one hand, we're all apt to and want to point fingers and wonder how it happens or why it happens. Did Martin do something to cause it? And on the other hand, I don't think so. And I think those guys would admit it. I think those guys just botched a couple of routine plays.
Sounds harsh, but it's true. You know, I'm sure the LSU game stories, for those who are embedded in covering that program, something along the lines of they found a way to win, appears in that game story. And that's something you so often see in championship runs as you document it moving forward, because sometimes teams don't have their best stuff and then they win across all sports. And so you say, we found a way tonight. We did the little things right, and even though we were playing from behind, those little things added up to a win. Florida State found a way to lose. Plain and simple, they found a way to lose. And there were other moments in this game that we'd be talking about, obviously, if it went the other way and other decisions. And, the high wire act that watching Tyler Holton was, and in the 6th and the 7th innings, he gets the big double play when it looks like he's out of gas. All he's throwing is his breaking pitches. And, he's sweating it. He looks exhausted, and he guts it out, and he gets a one-hopper to third base, and you get an around the horn double play, and you think, wow.
It's going to work out.
6 outs to go. We had the first inning debacle, but could it be? Because I think the hard part about this game is it happens so suddenly sometimes. I'm talking about baseball in general and Saturday night. You felt in command of this game, obviously, because you take the 2-0 lead, and Busby goes to the deepest part of the ballpark, and he's fired up, and you're playing from in front all night long, and it's a tightly played baseball game, except for, the 2 humongous errors.
Well, and that's the thing you can't do against really good teams. LSU has now won 17 straight times. I had incorrectly said that they had won 17 straight times coming into the College World Series. That's incorrect. Now they've won 17 straight times. The point is, the 2 teams that survived in advance, by the way, or survived to stay in the winners column, Oregon State has now won 22 straight games. In a game they trailed 5-1, and they come all the way back to win 6-5. LSU has found a number of comebacks late in games. You go back to the Mississippi State first game of the Supers, they come back in the 9th. This is, if you make mistakes against good teams and they're pressing the gas, and LSU wants to turn things into track meets, you're going to lose.
Well, and the next thing you know, it's a runner on third, and there's 1 out, and you decide to pitch lefty for lefty there. That's the matchup you want to go with, and you can debate that till the cows come home.
I don't know,
putting a runner on first or loading the bases, whatever you want to do. But all of a sudden, it's the bottom of the 8th, and you're down. You got 3 outs to play with. You know what I mean? That was the sinking realization that you felt all throughout the CP on Saturday night.
When they took the lead, I thought it was over.
Right.
I said to you, we won't come back from this. And they did get runners at first and second, and they had a chance, and then you strike out looking, and that's frustrating. I'm not going to second-guess the kid. That's a nasty pitch. I would like you to shorten up and try to put the bat on the ball, but, baseball's a funny game, and that kid who came in has nasty stuff, and we saw what his numbers were, and there's a reason guys look foolish up there, and they battled.
It's just you never want to do this from a jinxing standpoint, and certainly if you're on the field, you can't do this, but you're counting the outs, and that became, your biggest weapon is that they don't have much time to play with LSU, but then all of a sudden it becomes their biggest weapon and your biggest flaw, because those 3 outs that you were, hoping that you'd have to go get after the 8th was complete, all of a sudden now they have 3 outs to get, and they do, in fact, get them before you can score.
Well, I think the disheartening factor here is you led 2-0, 3-1, and 4-2. So you all throughout the game, you have the lead, as you noted. But again, you have a 2-0 lead, then you have a 3-1 lead, then you have a 4-2 lead. So the 2-run homer that you get in the first, you basically find a way to get back the run you gave away with the strikeout wild pitch runner from first scoring. You get back up 2 runs as you were after the home run, and you sustain it for the vast majority of the game. It's really less about the wild pitch. I know that matters because we only lose by a run. But it really is the debacle 3-error play. And, you know what? A 3-error play, you know, you do begin to feel cursed. I don't believe in curses. But, you know, you see something like that, you can't help but shake your head and think, well, what in the hell?
Reminds me of the reasoning of the 2012 home loss to Florida in football when you say, well, you know, 4 turnovers we can overcome, but it was that 5th one that was a killer. You know, the first 2 errors we might have been able to escape the inning.
You are going to escape the inning. The 3rd error.
But that 3rd one was a killer.
That's a toughie. Yeah, I mean, and you do in your head, you keep going da 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 da, and that's just unfortunate for a team that played well in so many other elements of the game for the vast majority of it. It's a play here. It's a singular hit and debacle, subsequent debacle. But I will say this, and while this is, you turn around after heartbreak, and it's tough to do. I wondered, I said today coming in, Tom, we were talking, you know, I feel like today, sure, Cal State Fullerton's throwing John Gavin, and he's 8-2 with a 2.67, and he's coming off the Super Regional win, which he pitched a 7-hit shutout. Prior to that, he pitched a great game, so I think he's got 16 innings now under his belt in the postseason where he's given up, 1 run, something like that. He's been great. So, sure, you're going to give credit to a kid like that who's well thought of, big kid on the hill, 6'5", 2 whatever, and you know, throwing good stuff from the left side. But in a weird way, I don't feel like we're preparing for that. In a weird way, I feel like we're trying to overcome the gut punch that happened on Saturday night. Now, in that regard, Martin said it in his postgame, and I'll say it here, there's certainly no reason not to believe that they can buck up and play good baseball and give themselves a chance to win this game, because that's what they've done every time they've had a setback. Every time there's been some form of transgression where they made mistakes that cost them a game, they turn around and won subsequent games or righted the ship just when you thought they couldn't. They're up against it again, just as they were in the Supers. They're up against it like they were in the regionals. So you know, I mean, this is it's a moment in which you can certainly, I think, anticipate that they'll play hard and that they'll find a way to get after it. I do think it's going to be important. This sounds weird. I do think they need to score first here. I know that in baseball it's silly to sit there and say a run's going to make the difference here. It's hard to envision a scenario by which they take the field feeling real good about themselves. And if you give up some runs early, it's real easy to begin to do something they haven't done this year, which is to second guess and begin to feel sorry for yourself. Whereas if you can get up again and gain some confidence, get some grit back to you, and go play the game, you know, then you let the chips fall where they may.
The expertise of not knowing the strategy like a coach does aside, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the coaching staff today, and my guess is they have to be thinking, can we just get through today? Can we get through today, be 1-1 through our first 2 games, and let's just take a collective breath? Because if you can get this win, right, this isn't like regionals, you know, where you're playing a bunch of games in a short amount of time. If you can win the day, you're not playing till Wednesday. You get a full day off. Let's collect your breath. Nobody's going 0-2 in Q here, guys. Let's just see what we can do. You know what I mean? That's got to be their thought. But today, I know there were long faces after the loss to Tennessee Tech on Friday night in the regional. But they didn't look like they did after this one.
Well, this was devastating. You led the whole game.
This is a special kind of loss.
You led the whole game, and the kind of nonsense that we warned about and feared could happen because they've had a penchant to do it this year. And I said on Friday that I felt like, look, if you go out there and you play well and you lose to a team that just plays better, you tip your cap, and I think you can live with that. You don't like it, but you can live with it. I couldn't describe the kind of air-prone baseball in the terms that I would use if we were not on the air. But I said, as long as we don't engage in some form of, and I'll leave that blank.
Tomfoolery.
And cost ourselves a game, then, you know, I can live with it. I'm a big boy. Sometimes it happens. Good baseball teams playing against each other. One can beat the other just as easy as it reversed, right? So I just, okay. And this was a weird one because we got out to a great start and they played with confidence and they were playing, you know, a good brand of baseball that allowed them to have a 2-run lead for the whole game. It's a play. I don't even really know what to say about that. I mean, it's a weird, it falls under the category of things you can't do and win a baseball game against a good team. It falls under the category of the aforementioned can't say on the air descriptor that I'm referencing. And yet I don't feel like that necessarily is applicable for that play. It's a play. It's a play with a series of stupid-ass errors. But what is Martin going to do to make Cal Raleigh catch that baseball? It hits him right in the glove. He's a catcher. It hits him in the glove. Catch the ball, tag the guy out. We're playing baseball.
They did so in Game 1 against Louisville, or Game 2, I should say, against Louisville that Friday night when they were in Louisville, Kentucky, and they get an outfield assist. It's Luke to Walls to Raleigh. I mean, they've made these little plays to get here, and I think even if you were just a neutral party taking in a College World Series game, you'd look at that and you'd say, it sucks that this play steals the show because for 95% of this ball game, it's played at a really high level.
By both teams.
It resembles a professional baseball game, and then the most College World, not even, the most Little League World Series thing you've ever seen steals the show.
Well, that's the problem. It's the magnitude of the screw-up, right? It's what was at stake and the kinds of mistake that it is. It's not a ball taking a weird hop and handcuffing a guy, and then he hurries to throw. That happens. It's baseball. It's weird. You see that even in the pros. This is a routine single. My man's just got to keep his glove down, and I love that kid. But that's a terrible time to make that mistake, and I hate it for him. And they are college kids, so I'm not harping on them. But then he turns around and runs back to get the ball. All right, so that's one problem already. Now we got throw and a couple of factors there. It's not a great throw, but also I don't know why Taylor feels strongly about keeping his foot on second base. I don't know how to describe that. Why there's no reason for that. So the moment was too big is the best way to describe that. So then he does that, and then we get a great throw home. That kid's going to be out by a lot. Give him credit. He's trying to force the issue. And maybe by forcing the issue, it leads to that mistake, dropping the ball. Quite clearly it did. I think nerves get the best of him there. He takes his eye off the ball. So in one play, you have 3 colossal mistakes. College kids, it's a shame. I hate it for Martin, too, because he had to be thinking, really? So that's what's going to happen here. We're going to lead the whole game against that team. We're going to set the tone the way that we so often don't do out there. We're going to do all those things. We're going to get a big 2-run home run from our power leader. Our leadoff hitter is going to get on base like we've asked him to, and he had a hard time doing off and on this year, but by and large, he was an excellent leadoff hitter. Even when his batting average was down, he's a guy that works, walks, et cetera. So he kind of had the bump in the road late in the season where I thought he abandoned approach, but he doesn't do that here, and you're feeling good about everything. And then, for the most part, you got play after play being made when the ball's put in play. You don't see any real problems. The guys aren't playing nervous. They're doing the things that you got to do to win a game in the College World Series. And then the 8th happens, and that play happens, and you go, well, sweet Jesus, fellas, you just can't win like that. You do. If you are a neutral observer in a situation like that, and you just love college baseball and you're watching because you don't really care who wins, but you love the game, you say, well, no good team can do that and beat another good team. You can't. That's what's going to separate the two teams. And it did. LSU, it's not like LSU out-hit Florida State. They didn't. It's not, they didn't out-pitch Florida State.
No, you didn't feel lucky to be in a position of up with 6 outs to get.
You deserve to have the lead. Yeah. What LSU did was commit 0 errors. And the margin for error in games like this against good teams is obviously very, very slight. Special edition Jeff Cameron Show, pregame show edition. We'll turn our attention to Cal State Fullerton, the team they have to beat to get the bad taste out of our mouth. No more descriptors about the LSU game. Let's look ahead when we come back.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough. soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Took a deep breath, steadied himself, and cut both with one swift squeeze of his tool. The boy screamed as the doctor pried the braces from his teeth.
If this 20-second performance made you feel something, imagine what an entire Audible book can do. Visit audible.com to start your free 30-day trial.
How's your car's air conditioner working? Could be better? Take it to Auto Super Service Center today for a comprehensive air conditioner service. It's just $49.99. Yep, just $49.99. Since 1980, Tallahassee's trusted name for auto repairs, service, and low prices has been Auto Super Service Center. There are 5 Tallahassee area Auto Super Service Center locations. Find the one nearest you at autosuperservicecenter.com and call for an appointment. $49.99 air conditioner service special is a limited time offer, so call today.
Go check out the brand new and recently remodeled Canal Street Crepe Company on Monroe, formerly known as Crepefine. Locally owned with Cru de Gras and open daily for breakfast at 7 a.m. all the way until 8 p.m., they proudly serve Lucky Goat coffee, along with espresso, cappuccinos, lattes, and more. Why not choose healthy breakfast, lunch, and dinner made just for you? Canal Street Crepe has just added soups, plus grab-and-go mason jar salads, along with a full line of Zapp's chips. Catering is available. Canal Street Crepe Company, 1304 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-0378.
Are you playing horseshoes?
Sure am. Something about this song always puts me in the mood for summertime fun.
Yeah, but this is an office, and it's not a backyard barbecue.
Hey, it could be a barbecue if you help me hammer in this badminton net.
Well, how about we go to Chick-fil-A instead, huh? They got a new smokehouse barbecue bacon sandwich.
Huh, that does sound summery. So, do I need a swimsuit or...
What? No, just regular clothes.
Get in the mood for summer. Try the new seasonal smokehouse barbecue bacon sandwich at Chick-fil-A.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You're descending down a staircase. On each step is another discount. Safe driver, multi-car, paperless. At the bottom of the staircase is a man selling cupcakes. You buy a cupcake with the money you saved because you really like cupcakes.
You're getting deeper and deeper into saving money with Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
You're busy with work, kids, school, and many other things every day. Figuring out how to get a good deal on homeowners or auto insurance is the last thing you want to do. Go visit Stacy Maxwell, owner of Insurance One, to guide you in the right direction, as he's done for the past 30 years. He'll find you a great policy at an affordable price and make your day a little easier. Call Stacy at 671-5768. Visit them online at insuranceonefl.com or go see him at their new location, 1350 Market Street, Suite 200, right above the Pink Narcissus.
Ah, the perfect lunch spot. A nearly impossible find. Thankfully for Tallahassee, we have Metro Deli. A downtown gem for over 15 years, Metro Deli is locally owned and features the best deli meats, cheeses, breads, and ingredients in the city. Enjoy daily specials and soups, salads, and wraps. There's something for everyone. Metro Deli offers online ordering for pickup or delivery and will cater your office breakfast or lunch too. Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot is Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com. That's MetroDeliTally.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Drew Parrish, 6-3 with a 4.40 ERA, has looked good as of late. Obviously, going into this game, you're going to continue to need your guys to come up big. Dylan Busby is looking good. Jackson Luke, Taylor Walls. Need all those guys. A little something from Q would be nice. Feel like he's kind of hit a dead spot here.
A lull, perhaps?
A little bit of a lull, but he gets a lefty on the hill today, so, let's let it loose. By the way, Busby's 10 of his last 29. That's 345 in the last 7 games with 9 runs and 10 driven in. And 12 and a third postseason innings, by the way, Drew Parrish has allowed 1 earned run and struck out 21 batters. So you got some guys doing some good things here. Obviously, when you've won 18 of your last 22 games, and that includes the loss the other night, you have to have been playing pretty well and having a lot of guys contribute in that end. It's crazy. Saturday's loss to LSU was just the 4th loss in 41 games when Florida State led after 7 innings. So some things go south for you there, and it hurts. But at 45-22, by the way, it's a weird thing to look at that record and see it be pretty damn impressive. Considering that at one point in this season, Florida State was 21-15. To look at that at 45-22, you go, wow, they've played a lot of good baseball. They're going to have to play great today. Got to tidy up the defense. There's no question about that. It's been frustrating. Cal State Fullerton, meanwhile, will throw John Gavin. He's a big left-hander, 8-2 on the season, 2.67 ERA. If you're going to wonder about Cal State Fullerton, as I know most of us in this area are because you don't get a chance to see them, their stars, Scott Hurst, center fielder, 328, 12 home runs, 40 RBIs. Their second baseman, Zahid Valenzuela, 320 with 5 doubles, 24 RBIs. Kind of a slappy, but gets on base. Tim Richards, their shortstop, another guy, and Dylan Persinger, their first baseman, all guys with a little bit of pop. So we'll continue to follow them. They lost their College World Series opener to Oregon State in almost equally heartbreaking fashion. They led the whole game, and the wheels come off in one big inning in which they give up 4. That blows a 5-1 lead. That turns it into a 5-5 game. They end up falling that game, losing in that game 6-5. So when you're up 5-1 going into the 6th inning, you're feeling pretty good about your chances of ending Oregon State's win streak. And then you not only don't hold on to the lead, you end up subsequently losing the game. I guess I bring all that up to say, hey, they can't be feeling all that great about themselves either. They had that game won just as we thought we had our game won. Fullerton, did themselves in with walks. That's a good sign, and I want to bring this up. It's important if you're looking for any little matchup clues that could be in Florida State's favor. Florida State walks a lot, typically leads the country in walks. Fullerton walked 5 Oregon State batters. 4 of those guys scored. So if they're going to continue to walk and kind of nibble, that's in favor of Florida State, obviously.
Woo, what a big spot for Drew Parrish today, because you now need to be the stopper, and you need to be the one that elevates your team when they're not feeling very good about themselves. And he's come a long way in the last 3-4 weeks as a freshman. It's the start against Notre Dame in the ACC tournament, in which he turns in a bunch of shutout innings, and you think, okay, all right, well, it's just Notre Dame, but it's a positive step. It's nice to see that there is life. Then he comes in and gets you out of the bases loaded, nobody out jam against North Carolina. And then he throws an absolute gem against Tennessee Tech in the regional, open the regional. We ended up losing that game, but it's not because of what Parrish brought to the table. And then it's a bit of a laugher, obviously, in the super regional start that he had. But he did get out of a bases-loaded jam in that one as well, at a time where at least you could have had to think twice about what your fate was going to be in Game 2.
Sure.
So here he is today. Holton, for most of the season, has been Florida State's stopper, the guy that comes in on Saturday, and if you lost, he'll go get you a win, give you a big performance, or he can continue the trend if you won on a Friday. It's his turn. You're asking an awful lot from a young kid in Omaha, Nebraska, but if he's up to the challenge, then okay, here we go. Gather your breath, everybody.
I think he'll pitch well. I do. I think he's playing with confidence, and I've actually not been all that worried about pitching as of late. I feel like, you got a pretty good start out of Holton in Game 1. I feel like you'll get a pretty good start. I guess when I say pretty good, I don't go into these games against really good teams who know how to work the count and know how to get on base and know how to put pressure on defenses. They wouldn't be out here if they didn't do those things well. I don't ever go in there expecting. If you get it, it's great, like Florida did. If you get a shutout from a stud, that's great. But you don't expect that. What you expect is, does your starting pitcher give you a chance to win the game? Does he keep you in the game? Can't get out there and give up 7-8 runs in the first 2 innings and the game's over before it starts. I feel like Parrish we can trust. I'll knock on wood that that's the case. Of course, there are anomalies. There are things that happen, and sometimes, obviously, you're disgusted by those things. But I'm not going to assume anything bad here. I'm going to assume he pitches pretty well. I want to know, can we get anything going against this big lefty? This kid's, from what I'm reading, If you look at the scouting reports on him, you look at the MLB scouts on him, very well thought of, and a guy that I believe may have held out, and that's why he kind of got glossed over a little bit for a bigger paycheck, much the way that Tyler Holton and others do when they let teams know,
right,
I want to go to college, I want to do this or that. Yeah.
Right now, he's slotted for about $150,000 worth of a signing bonus with the San Francisco Giants. They took him in the first 10 rounds. I forget if it was the 7th or the 9th, but whatever. First 10 rounds of the Major League Draft last week. And he's got a low 90s fastball. You know, to go along with the size, you'd expect 96, 97. That's not really his style. But like you said, you know, perhaps this is a chance for somebody like Neaporte to get off the schneid. Certainly Cal Raleigh at the dish. His swings, I think, look a little bit better from that right side than the left side. Maybe that's the side where his hands aren't as affected, or his wrist.
Shoulders, yeah, he's had some issues, yeah.
So the swing looks more level from that area. Again, you know, momentum's an important thing. But
I don't think either team has it right now. That's why I think it's important to go out and score, get ahead here early, and see if you can't build on that.
I thought it was important over the weekend, too. But we had the momentum for most of the game, and then that happened. So, you know.
Should be noted before we go to break here, I don't want to ignore it. And because today's kind of a special arrangement with the way that we're coming on the air early instead of 3 o'clock, because it'll be right in the heart of the Florida State College World Series game. You know, it's not a normal edition of the Jeff Cameron Show. And in a normal edition of the Jeff Cameron Show, we would acknowledge some of the other national storylines, especially as it pertains to a former Nole himself winning the U.S. Open in Brooks Koepka, a guy that I had the good fortune of interviewing not but 2-3 weeks ago on Beyond the Tips, and that's because of Trey Jones, his golf coach at Florida State University. And that's the second part of what I want to say. I don't know Brooks other than the 2 times I've ever spoken to him in an interview form on that show. But I do know Trey Jones, and I know how much he loves those kids and how much he has given to this golf program and how much he roots for those guys from afar and attends their events and does things and to show that he's invested in their life after their time at Florida State. And I want to congratulate him. He won't hear this. He's out in Omaha. That's fine. I'm not doing it for those reasons. I just love the guy. He's a super good guy. I've had the good pleasure of getting to know him over the course of building this show that we do together on Sirius XM. And I've watched it. I've watched the way that he compliments those players, doesn't take any credit for himself ever. When he has kids on from other programs, he's always praising, even rival programs. He'll praise other rival programs' coaching staff and the job they've done. When they try to deflect, he won't let them. He gives the kids all of the credit. When he talks about Jonas Blix or Daniel Berger or Brooks Koepka, he says, well, you know, I didn't have to do much. Those guys came in here. But that's not necessarily true. Their careers were furthered because of their time at Florida State. And all of them have said that at varying points. But congratulations, Trey Jones. Congratulations, Florida State Golf. And congratulations, obviously, the guy that went out there and executed flawlessly and looked as composed as you'll ever see anybody down the stretch on the verge of capturing their first major at the U.S. Open. Congratulations, Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, I'd also like to say that, you know, over the last few years, I think I've gotten to know Trey Jones well enough to call him a friend. And certainly that was the first thought I had yesterday. Brooks goes out and dominates, and he's the one that took the U.S. Open. I don't care about how many players finished under par relative to other years. He went out and took it on the back nine.
He won by 4 strokes. He has 1 missed green. You can't do what he did and not have been playing with the utmost of confidence and expertise.
He missed 1 green in his last 30 holes. I mean, that's absurd because in putting, he was very mediocre. He was 51st. He made a couple of big putts in the back nine to help seal the deal here.
Sure.
Not the least of which was
led
his
the
par
field
putt.
in greens and regulation now, and percentage of greens hit.
Yeah, 86.1% for the weekend, and then he hits the par putt on 13. I think that was the biggest putt. He even said so, Brooks did.
Yeah.
But when guys come through here, Trey, it's not always about the swing mechanics. It's about what's going on between your ears. Can you be tough enough? And that's one thing that Brooks showed in spades yesterday.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's why I think he's got a chance to do more damage than just this one U.S. Open.
Good run, by the way. This should be noted for Noles everywhere, or anybody who cares about the program and the community, whether you're a Nole or not. I'll just say this, that you talk about a run. We've got a legacy course going to be built at some point here as fathered, if you will, by Jack Nicklaus himself. And, of course, was just here last week when my 2 boys were at that golf camp at Florida State. And spends the better part of 2 days going over the course and talk about the changes in the design they're going to make. It's a legacy course. It'll be the only one in North America. This will be a destination golf course, so it's great for tourism for the city. They're talking about things that they may end up doing in terms of building a hotel, all this other stuff, a shuttle from downtown. I mean, amazing opportunities here because of a course like that. People will fly from around the world to little old Tallahassee, Florida, to play the Nicklaus Legacy course, which will be the Florida State's home course, which will be open to the public. That means you and me, all of us, can go play that course. That's in the near future. That's exciting. That's something that I know Trey Jones is very excited about, as well as all the other people at Florida State Golf. In addition to that, it's just a few weeks back that Jonas Blix wins a golf tournament in South Carolina, and he wins. And so, that's a Florida State player and a guy that had just I had a chance, again, good fortune, thanks to Trey, to interview right before that tournament. Then we had Chase Koepka on, Brooks' brother. We've had Brooks on. Chase is making a run at being a PGA pro and was an All-American stud at USF. Brooks now wins the U.S. Open. Daniel Berger just won last week. So Florida State's had back-to-back wins on tour, including a major here at the U.S. Open. A crazy, crazy good run for Florida State golf and Trey Jones.
Sure, and then Jack McGuire advances his career because he's a Web.com player, but he qualified through sectionals for the U.S. Open and made the cut, acquitted himself quite well in a big circumstance. Yes, good news all around.
Yeah, great run, great run. So I didn't want to be remiss and overlook it. Wanted to say congratulations to all of those involved, in particular Brooks Koepka for his win, and my friend Trey Jones, who I know is beaming. I texted him last night, and he said, I've been caught a little off guard by how much publicity this has garnered. I don't think he expected ESPN to come into the stands and interview him and want to talk to him.
During a Gator game. Let's go interview the champion coach.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool thing that happened. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic, backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Bill credit requires 2 service payments within 45 days. Credit received within 60 days. Taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See store for details.
His eyes darted between the blue wire and then the red wire. Back to the blue, back to the red. A bead of sweat dropped from his brow to his hand, which grasped a pair of pliers. He took a deep breath, steadied himself, and cut both with one swift squeeze of his tool. The boy screamed as the doctor pried the braces from his teeth.
If this 20-second performance made you feel something, imagine what an entire Audible book can do. Visit audible.com to start your free 30-day trial.
Bill's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Bill's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility, says it's summertime, and summertime is the time to go green and save energy. Here are a few simple things you can do right now that will save energy while you try to keep out of the summer heat. First thing, get your air conditioner checked out and change your air filters. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how much energy and money you can save. Going away from home on vacation? Why not purchase a programmable thermostat to regulate your air conditioner while you're not at home? Talk about an investment that'll pay energy savings dividends. Make an appointment right away for a free energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. You never know how much energy you can save until you do it. The City of Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa. Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? We can help you if you qualify. Your student loans can be taken out of default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201. That's 800-419-2201. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Welcome back. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Sort of. We normally start at 3. Today we started at 1. Wanted to do a Jeff Cameron Show / game preview. Florida State, Cal State Fullerton in the next 15 minutes. They'll get underway out in Omaha. It's win or go home for Florida State, who had, obviously, as we noted to start today's show, their heart ripped from their chest after leading the almost entire game against LSU, and comedy of errors in the 8th lead to some unearned run scoring in Florida State Falls, and I mean this in the truest sense, not in this uplifting way, in a magnificent manner. You just don't see things like that every day. So pretty frustrating. But we'll see if they can bounce back now. I don't know the answer to that. It's a collective thing, so it's not about a person, right? It's not about a guy. And you could say about individuals over time, well, I know he'll fight, or I've watched him bounce back. I've seen him pull himself up off the mat. But collectively as a team, a little bit more difficult to know. I got to believe you're just excited to play. You're out in Omaha. You got an opportunity here to get the taste out of your mouth. You know, Coach Martin said after the game, that he was sure his bunch would come back out and fight because they're baseball players, and that's what you do in baseball. Anything can happen in this game, and you go back out and you compete. We do it in our daily lives. All of us do. Martin kind of waxing poetic about the fact that on a daily basis we got a lot of things to overcome. We fight, we battle, whether it's something between our ears or whether it's something physically. In this case, I think it's both for Florida State because you got some guys that are playing through some injury problems and you got some guys that are dealing with some stuff mentally.
Yeah, and you got to get 4 wins now, but you can't think of it that way. You can't think of the fact that you're going to have to beat either Oregon State or LSU two times, and you're going to have to climb out of this hole. You just got to take care of today.
Well, and I think it's doable. They had to have been buoyed, Tom, by what they got at the end of the year. I don't know what Ziersau would give you if he had to pitch again, but I didn't think he was going to pitch a complete game 2-hit shutout the last time. So, you got some guys I think you feel all right about. If you get a win here, you still have Cole Sands, you still have Carp. We'll see. They've got enough arms, I think, to climb out of the losers bracket. They're not all dominant arms, but I think they got enough guys they can turn to give themselves a chance. And with days off, you can go back to Holton in this run too.
Absolutely, you can. I would think, and again, I'm not trying to do this and predict it. This is not what's happening. But
none of us can know. Yeah,
you have to look at all the scenarios. And let's say that you fight and you win today, and you fight and you win on Wednesday. Then yes, you're playing on Friday. Okay, so yes, Holton would start that game, I would think, on Friday.
Yeah, and you'd be right back to having your ace out there. And,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And just for the format, so people know, if they were to do the unlikely and climb that far and win on Friday, then they would play the deciding game on Saturday. So there is no double up, win twice within
in one day, or anything
1
like
day's
that.
worth
No,
of game. No, it's not. It's not set up that way at the College World Series. It's not like the regional setup at all in that manner.
Yeah, look, to be sure. And this has always been the case, especially so in yesteryear. You don't want to have to come out of the losers bracket. It's not something that too many people can do. You're capable of it, but it's and the old setup really. I know we did it once, but it's damn near impossible. You're going to have to get some performance you couldn't have expected, or you're going to have to get somebody to fall on their face who normally dominates on the other team. You would have had to have had a measure of luck back in the day under the old format to find a way out of your losers bracket. It was so punitive to lose that first game. By the way, we talk about Florida State's never won the College World Series. We talk about it ad nauseum. It's the only thing that he hasn't won. It's the only thing that this program hasn't accomplished. But it's a big thing. I got you. It's hard to win the College World Series when you, it seems in perpetuity, lose game 1. Florida State has now lost game 1 in the College World Series 7 of the last 8 times they've been. You just don't give yourself much of a chance. These are all great teams. They've got a depth of talent in pitching. That's how they got here. It's hard to beat a team like that twice, especially after you've had to jump over 2 teams to get back to have the opportunity to beat them twice. That's why it doesn't happen. When you lose that first game, you could be a great team. You could be LSU. If LSU had lost to us in game 1, as they should have if we don't make 3 errors on 1 play, they're in deep trouble, even though they're really talented and they've won a lot of games in a row, and you wouldn't want to count them out. We'd be saying, that's going to be hard to do. It's not impossible. Well, it just holds true for everybody. No matter what kind of regular season you had. If Oregon State, who's only lost 4 games all year long, down 5-1 to Cal State Fullerton, today's opponent for Florida State, if they don't come back and win that game 6-5, I don't care that they only have 4 losses, at that point 5 losses on the year. I would say they're pretty well dead. It's just that's the nature of the beast. You can't lose game 1.
Well, even if you do climb out of the hole, and there's a long, long way to go before you do that, you are not likely to see Tyler Holton pitch in game 1 or game 2 of the final series because you got to spend him. You got to spend him now. That would be for the team that goes 2-0 and is playing, and waiting until Friday to play. So the winner of tonight's game between Oregon State and LSU, they got a choice to make. They got a choice. Do they want to start their ace on Friday, or do they want to see if they can get by with their second guy and then save the ace for game 1 of the best of 3? That's the choice that the winner's bracket gets to make. That's not a choice that we have the luxury to make right now, and especially today. If I'm Cole Sands and I'm the coaching staff, I think we've had a conversation. If it ain't going well for Parrish in the first couple innings, you need to be ready. All hands on deck today. Not named Tyler Holton, of course, but all hands on deck in that bullpen. So we'll worry about Wednesday if we even get to Wednesday.
Whatever you got to do, you got to do. I mean, use everybody you got to use. Just heartbreaking. because they ought not be in the position. I know I'm harping on the negative here, and we're about to play a baseball game where you have an opportunity to win out there in Omaha and perhaps put a little distance between yourself and that heartache you feel, because it's still fresh from Saturday night. It really is. It's weird. I talked about on Friday, and maybe it was Thursday, but as you get older, you learn to cope with and deal with losses to your favorite sports teams pretty easily, because you put things in the proper context and all that stuff, and I don't want to preach to you all about perspective. You get it. Most of you do anyhow. And so you can kind of, you chalk it up to whatever, and you say, that stinks. I wish the result had been different. You also learn to appreciate the things that are going good for your teams more, and all that happens, right? So the point of that conversation at the time was that these things aren't a matter of life and death, and they don't tend to linger for me as long as they used to. This one lingered. This one's lingered into today. I'm not going to lie. This one lingered because it was just dumb. It didn't have to happen. And I don't have a specific person or thing to blame. It's that some college kids didn't execute in magnificent fashion over the course of 20 seconds.
Yeah, it feels like you're still staring at the Vegas wall, doesn't it? I can still see it. That's the thing. We were talking about this in the break before this segment.
God, man.
The whole place is going crazy. We're kind of internalizing it. It's the press box, man. You know what it does? It beats it out of you to verbally react when something crazy happens. You're just always internalizing. And watching that scene in there and, feeling everything that everybody else in the room felt, but just staring at the replay, hoping the replay tells me that something different happened. Even though I know the replay can't do that, I'm hoping the replay shows me that something different happened. Maybe something illegal that we can challenge.
Right.
Maybe somebody's out. Anything. Give me anything. But it couldn't. And we all knew that run was going to score from third, didn't we?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think.
It's only a tie game then, but we all know that run is coming in from third.
Yeah. Well, I thought if the ball got put into play, it would happen. But the problem is that actually that's if we wanted to, we could talk about that too. If you go back and watch that play, they've got the infield in. He's right where he needs to be, where that ball is hit. And for whatever reason, again, it's a lot harder than it is to do than it is to say or speculate about. I got it. But he takes a false step to his right inexplicably. I don't know why that happened. I'm still kind of confused by that. But again, I'm not down there. I don't know what his line of sight is. I don't know why that happened. Just that it did. But if he doesn't do that, they got the ball they wanted. That kid's out again. Didn't happen. Hopefully here in a few minutes, they'll go out and they'll play a sharp baseball game. They'll get back in the win column, feel better about themselves. They get a day off after that. All could be right with the world. We'll play again on Wednesday, and certainly we'll have an opportunity to talk about it after today's game. We'll be with you for a 1-hour post game. Well, depending if the game ends at 5, we'll be with you, or 4:45 or something crazy like that. We'll be with you until 6.
Or if it ends at 5:45, we'll have an abridged post game.
That's right. But we'll have a post game and a wrap up one way or the other. Hopefully you'll be able to join us for that here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good work, Tom, and we'll talk to you guys in just a few hours. Until then, go Noles.